Pretty simple. I think he has to show a stark contrast with the Murphy policies, and I've said this before, I think in interviews with you, that you don't beat vanilla with French vanilla, you beat it with chocolate. Jack needs to be as chocolate as possible in order to beat Phil Murphy. I thought that the other night showed a real stark contrast between Jack Chitterelli and Phil Murphy. And I think that for most people, even people who are in the middle or even left leaning, they don't necessarily buy into this ultra wokeness that the Phil Murphy regime and party is showing. I think that most people are, New Jersey, they say, is a blue state. I disagree wholeheartedly. I think it's a purple state. And I think that a lot of people realize that, we are on a fiscal cliff. We have some policies in the state that need drastic change. And I think Jack represents that stark contrast that is ultimately necessary. If he continues to show that contrast, where he is a 180 from where Phil Murphy is, he has a way to win this race. This might be a little bit of a shameless plug from 2019. The Stockton poll just recently came out, shows him 9 points behind. I was 14 points behind 11 days prior to the election. So right. by my math, if we're using the Stockton math of 2019, Jack Chitterelli could be leading by 12 points, Max. So exactly. I think people need to believe, and what Jack needs to also do, besides the contract, is to make Republicans and independents believe that this is in fact a winnable race. And I think he's doing a great job of that. I look back, I'm a student of political history. Governor Kane was down by 20 points in September of 1981. 20 points. Jack's within striking distance. If we go by history, Jack is within striking distance, and we need to make people believe that and understand the history of polling in the state of New Jersey and how far off it has been. And we don't need to look too far back to my race to see how far off the Stockton poll was. It was off by 21 points. I mean, that's dramatic. And I really believe that, Jack has a shot, and I think people are going to be shocked on election day.
Is he highlighting the economy, unemployment, suffering businesses enough? Also, the budget, the explosion in Trenton. In other words, economic issues, so that he's not merely talking about social issues.
Yeah. You saw where I was going, I think, Max. Honestly, I think you prognosticated exactly where I was going. I obviously was a pretty loud voice concerning the borrowing that occurred last year. I think Jack does need to focus a little bit more on that so that people understand that the economy is so bloated. We borrowed money needlessly. We have all of these funds readily available. Something that I talked about, pausing the $250 million tax on our small businesses to fund the unemployment fund. That should have been paused. Yet Governor Murphy even was quoted as saying that I brought up so many great points, yet he didn't follow them. Well, if they were such great points, why don't we hit the pause button, use federal dollars? Businesses are hurting. I mean, we know, and Jack knows, and I hope that the people of New Jersey know that over 30% of all of our small businesses will never open their doors again due to the policies of the Murphy administration. And it is truly a case of the haves and the have-nots, choosing one form of business over another form of business, really picking winners and losers. We saw last year in 2020, Home Depot, Lowe's posting record quarters, whilst mom and pop small businesses were closing their doors forever. They're never opening again. And I think the more New Jersey voters hear about that, and they realize that some of their most cherished restaurants, small businesses, are closed and never opening again, they're going to realize that they need to vote for Jack Chitterelli.